Holy Toledo, folks. I got something big to share with you. So this is, I do public records requests, and this is a memo, and I don't think I was supposed to get it. I don't know. It says right up here, confidential client, attorney-client privilege communication, but they gave it to me anyway, so it's mine. It's yours. It's the public's. And by the way, this is how so many people shield themselves in county government of bad behavior or whatever, is they just CC the attorney or they send it to the attorney or whatever, and it's shielded from the public. Not this one. So this is a memo from Kimsey to the prosecuting attorney's office on January 26th. What's significant about January 26th? That's the day, the final day, when the PA's office, prosecuting attorney's office, is supposed to give the a legal review. So they got to check the box, right? Is the initiative within the scope of local initiative powers? Yes, no, or no opinion at this time. You all know that they checked the box yes, as they should. But Kimsey wanted to kill the Restore Election Confidence Initiative in the crib. He wanted to stop it, and hence why he's trying to change the charter right now so that it can be stopped. But this is the big point. Not only, so he goes on multiple pages trying to, make really, I think, poor arguments. I'm biased, but even his arguments are pretty wild. For example, he tries to say that a minimum 85% of the ballots received by 8 p.m. deadline, that they have to be counted and reported, or they have to count until midnight. He's crying. He's like, ooh, ordinances putting for compensation or workers' conditions. So there's a requirement or a limitation in the county charter in which you can't do an initiative as in for compensation for people. Kind of makes sense, right? You can't take away someone's pay. You can't increase their pay through initiatives. Got it. He's trying to make this weird argument because we're asking county employees to work later, that somehow violates it, which is ridiculous. That's just an example of his ridiculous type of arguments. Here's the bombshell. This is wild. I almost missed it, by the way. And I'll show you, I'll flip to it so you can see it. This is the last page, and I'm going to read this to you. So he finishes his really terrible arguments, and he says, because you defend the county, the prosecuting attorney's office, which, by the way, they first ignored until I wrote a writ of mandamus, and then they reversed course. Because you defend the county law, and the charter is county law, both 1 and 2 are your responsibility. If you do not take action, this is the big part. If you do not take action as set forth in the charter, and even though neither state law or the charter gives that responsibility to the county auditor, the county auditor should take action when required regarding 7.2A and B in the event you do not take action as required by the charter. Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying, if you don't take action, I will. Even though it's not stipulated, he has no authority to do so. He's like, I'm going to do it. And who's going to stop me? Because in the next section, the next paragraph, he says, if the question of the appropriateness of the county auditor taking the action set forth in the charter was challenged in court, I believe a judge, you could smell the arrogance in this. I believe a judge would be more concerned with whether or not the proposed initiative conflicts with the charter than with what elected official took action. I look forward to your prompt response. This shows that Auditor Kimsey is he was willing to go beyond the charter. He was willing to take action that spells out that it's not his. In fact, he knows it. He knows that the action that he's proposing will be challenged, and he's hoping, that the judges got his back. Which, by the way, many of the administrative elites believe that there's, the judges are in ideology capture. Like they'll, they got their backs. And if they, Misty, as long as it's not anything super egregious, they don't rob a bank in broad daylight, they got their backs. But this is wild. This is wild. He basically sends this memo to the prosecuting attorney's office, says, if you don't do something, I will, and I don't care if it's not legal. That's your county auditor, Greg Kimsey. And thankfully, I will give the prosecuting attorney's office credit. He sent this memo, and they just brushed it off, and they sent the email to me like 10 minutes later. 10 minutes later, they send the email to me saying, it's legal. Check the box. Yes. How about that, Clark County? What do you think about your auditor now?